Here's everything your baby brain needs to remember. The situation in Japan gets bad after League of Villains release the prisoners from all the prisons, so the strongest woman in the world, Star and Stripes, shows up in Japan from America to make Japan great again. Suddenly Tomura appears in her way, as he's planning to steal her quirk using the all-for-one quirk. He uses multiple quirks to fight. Suddenly Star and Stripes uses her quirk, New Order, to remove air from Tomura's surroundings, as her quirk lets her give new rules and properties to something she touches and says the name of. Though she can only use it on two things at once, and uses it on Tomura to not let him move or his heart would stop. But since his real name is Tenko and not Tomura, New Order fails to work on him. Tomura realizes that when it comes to living beings, New Order can't fully change their order, or else Star and Stripes would have set a rule to simply blow Tomura's head up, instead of setting up a conditional situation. Suddenly Star and Stripes creates a stand by turning air into her shape and holds Tomura down, while America sends nukes at Japan which Star and Stripes hits Tomura with, but Tomura survives as he dug underground using his decay quirk, and launches himself at Star and Stripes to touch her to decay her, and steals her New Order quirk at the same time. Though just before getting her quirk stolen, Star and Stripes made a rule that New Order would reject other quirks, which makes the New Order quirk attack the other quirks inside Tomura's body including All for One. Suddenly Tomura grows wing using a quirk, and leaves to give the New Order quirk to someone else, before it erases all the stored quirks inside him. Star and Stripes dies because of the decay, while Tomura tries passing the quirk to a random guy, but New Order erases itself after erasing a lot of other quirks from Tomura's body, and tells All for One and Tomura that in the end, the heroes are the ones who'll win. Class A finds out that Tomura is in bad state because of fighting Star and Stripes, so start training to fight back once League of Villains attack again. Suddenly Toru overhears that Aoyama didn't get a quirk when he reached the quirk getting age, so his parents asked All for One to pass a quirk to him, but in return All for One started using Aoyama as a spy to get information regarding UA from him. She sends Midoriya, who also finds out about it, so Aoyama attacks him without thinking, which makes Toru do a face reveal. Midoriya captures them and reports them, but he still sees the good in Aoyama, and decides to use him to lure All for One outside earlier before he fully recovers, so Aizawa accepts and starts plotting. Toga visits her old house where she grew up, but it had been abandoned because she used to live there. Suddenly Dabi burns the house down to help her move on from her past, and gives her the blood of Twice which he got right before Twice died, which she can use to use his quirk, Double, to use the Sad Man's Parade move. All Might tells UA students the final planning, and move them somewhere else according to the plan spot. After some days, by following the plan, Aoyama brings Midoriya to a secluded area where he acts like he's against the heroes, which makes All for One come out too as he's after Midoriya's one for all quirk. Suddenly Aoyama betrays him, but All for One doesn't care and brings out all the Paranormal Liberation Front members to not let Midoriya escape. Suddenly Monma, who had copied Kurogiri's teleportation quirk, brings the heroes there by following the plan, and both sides attack each other. Suddenly the heroes release giant cages to trap certain groups of villains inside, and those cages start teleporting away through different portals to 9 different plan locations, but Toga pulls Midoriya away to her portal, while all the portals close. Team Endeavor is against Team All for One, Team Shoto against Team Dabi, Alone Tomura against Team Best Jeanist, and Team Toga against Team Uraraka. On Toga's side, Gang Orca's group fights the Jailbreakers and a high-end Nomu, while Moonfish, the former League of Villains member, makes his return. Toga fights Midoriya and confesses her love to him, but when Midoriya says that he doesn't want to hurt her, she gets disappointed as according to her, gore is the symbol of love. Tsuyu and Uraraka get in their way, and let Midoriya leave for Tomura to fight Toga themselves, so he starts going towards the floating UA. Gang Orca's group overpowers Moonfish and the high-end Nomu, so rather than fighting all of them all by herself, Toga swallows Twice blood and turns into him using her transform quirk. On Dabi's side, he burns the whole place up as he's disappointed that Endeavor didn't try fighting him himself, and after seeing Shoto's loyalty towards Endeavor, he decides to tell him why he turned evil. After he burned himself in the forest with his own quirk while trying to impress his father Endeavor, All for One saved him, and after 3 years of getting treated by Ujiko, he woke up but still refused to join All for One side. He went back home, but saw that Endeavor had just moved on to train Shoto next, so he left and trained himself by thinking of surpassing Endeavor, and made it his goal to burn everything that Endeavor holds dear. Now he overuses his flame that burns his own skin, and fights Shoto and other heroes there. Suddenly Shoto uses Flash Fire Fist, Phosphor, a move he created where he turns his fire cold and uses Great Glacial Agar to cool down Dabi and his fire to defeat him. Though he stands again, as he created a protective shield like Shoto's Phosphor to survive that finisher. On All for One side, he fights Hawks and Endeavor, the number 1 and 2 heroes, who try to break All for One's mask, thinking it might weaken him up. Suddenly he tells Endeavor that he was the one who rescued Dabi from the forest and kept him alive, which makes Endeavor go berserk, which lets All for One give him a fatal damage. Jiro and Tokoyami fight All for One with Hawks, and even after getting fatal damage and injuries, they manage to break All for One's mask. Though he roughly fixes his mask back using Rivet Stab's quirk, suddenly Endeavor attacks him and loses his right arm, but creates a new one using his fire, and takes All for One to the sky where he uses his finisher, the Prominence Burn, to burn All for One to crisp. Though All for One uses Ares Rewind Quirk Bullet, and continuously starts to age down until he'll stop existing, but he isn't worried as Tomura would continue his legacy. Tomura gets taken to a fake UA building floating in the sky, which is designed to prevent him from using his decay quirk on the ground or to fly away from there, while Monma copies Aizawa's Erasure quirk to continuously use it on Tomura to prevent him from using any quirk. Suddenly Tomura's body creates thousands of hands to fight for him, as his body is adapting to all the new quirks he has inside of him thanks to All for One quirk. Suddenly Bakugo attacks him with his stored sweat to create massive explosion, but he breaks his arm. Then he beats up Best Jeanist Mirko and Edshot with power equal to All Mights, and tries killing Bakugo. Suddenly Hado Tamaki and Mirio, the big three of UA, fight Tomura next. Mirio tells Tomura that he doesn't have the power of friendship on his side, which triggers the Tenko part of Tomura, which starts messing up the connection between Tomura Tenko and All for One. Tamaki merges multiple animals using his quirk and stores Hado's wave motion quirk inside, then shoots that huge blast at Tomura, but nothing happens. Suddenly Bakugo appears for a rematch as he has now figured out Tomura's fighting style, but feels pain all over his body. He then meets the one for all form of All Might in his consciousness, and asks for his autograph like he wanted long ago. He gets hit by Tomura, and when Best Jeanist checks on him, he finds out that his heart has stopped beating. Though Edshot goes inside Bakugo using his Foldabody body quirk, and starts stitching his heart and gives him a CPR from inside to try reviving him. While Mirko and Mirio fight Tomura together, suddenly Tomura's body fixes itself in a way to let it turn into the one that is best suited for the situation there, making him reach the form which is as strong as Prime All Might. He one-shots Tamaki and Hato but ignores Mirio as he doesn't see him as a threat, then goes for Best Genist. Suddenly Shino from Wild Wild Pussycats group gets a message through her telepath quirk and tells her side to lower the barrier around for 2 seconds. Tomura can escape during those 2 seconds by jumping out through his upgraded body. Suddenly Mirio distracts him with his level 10 Gayot. Midoriya finally arrives. He sees all the damage caused by Tomura and goes berserk, but Mirio tells him to use his anger to fuel his power to fight using his brain. Midoriya knows that All for One is manipulating Tomura, so he wants to snap him back to reality by talking to his real self, his Tenko core. Midoriya combines Black Whip of Daigoro with Fa Gene of Bruce Lee to create Black Chain, then uses Gearshift of Kudo on his cells to speed them up, and hits Tomura with second, third, and top gears. He continues using Gearshift quirk to reach 120% of his true powers, which makes All for One inside Tomura remember that Gearshift used to be a weak quirk of Kudo, but as the quirk passed on to next users, it became stronger itself too. Midoriya uses other users' quirks to lead Tomura in midair, then combines every previous user's strength into his fist, and uses one for all Detroit Smash on Tomura, that further weakens his connection inside with All for One. On Spinner's side, Spinner leads 15,000 heteromorph-type quirk users to fight against heroes, as heteromorphs face racism for looking like furries, while Spinner himself got a second quirk from All for One that turns him into a giant, so he leads his army to rescue Kurogiri out of the hospital. Shoji remembers that he also faced racism because of being a heteromorph-type quirk user, but he doesn't care as he saved a kid from drowning thanks to his octopus-type body. Koji powers up and grows a glowing horn to defeat the yapping guy who was encouraging the people to attack, while Shoji and Present Mike fight Spinner, but he gets inside the hospital to try waking Kurogiri up, and even after getting stopped by Present Mike, he uses his remaining strength to put one of Tomura's hands on Kurogiri's face to wake him up. Suddenly Kurogiri wraps Dabi and Toga to All for One side, where Toga uses twice quirk, and uses his Sad Man's Parade move to create thousands of his clones. Then Kurogiri wraps Present Mike and other Sad Man's Parade clones to Tomura's side who stop Monma from looking at Tomura, which let Tomura use all his stored quirks again like before, but he needs a little time to let his body get used to that sudden impact. Skeptic hacks into UA's system to make the floating island fall off. Suddenly La Brava, who's now on Hero's side, hacks into his system to stop him from hacking, and tracks his location to send heroes there to capture him. Gentle Criminal, who's also on Hero's side now, uses Gently Super Lover move to create a trampoline under the falling island to stop it from taking fall damage. Tomura tries using Decay quirk to decay the whole island. Suddenly Lady Nagant, who's also on Hero's side now, shoots both of Tomura's hands away, which lets Midoriya take him away from the island. Tomura is aware that All for One only wants to use him to turn him into his own vessel, so he kept his Tenko core deep inside him to not forget his own villain path, which is to destroy everything related to the house where it all began. Some heroes were protecting Gigantomachia's building from getting raided by the villains to not let them wake him up. Suddenly a villain uses high-frequency voice of All for One, which wakes Gigantomachia up. This green come from earlier goes for Shinso, but Kirishima fails to save him because of his type of quirk. Suddenly Mina upgrades her quirk and saves Shinso using her acid to make that come let go of him, while Shinso makes him reply to him to not let him move again. Then as planned, Shinso uses his quirk by sounding like All for One and makes Gigantomachia reply to him to successfully get him under his control. All for One starts going to get Tomura under his control again. Suddenly Kami Seiji and Yurashi of Shiketsu School and Hawks and Tokoyami's Dark Shadows full form get in his way, but All for One turns into even younger form because of Aries' quirk. Suddenly Shinso brings Gigantomachia there, and all of them jump All for One together, but All for One goes in creative mode and claps everyone's cheeks one by one. Then he steals Hawk's quirk and leaves to go reunite with Tomura. Suddenly finds All Might on his way. Dabi follows Endeavor near the evacuation area, where he starts losing mind because of overheating so much, which makes Endeavor realize he's about to nuke that whole place up using his stored fire. Suddenly Reinatsu and Fuyumi use their ice quirk to cool him down, while Ida brings Shoto there, who uses Great Glacial Agar for the second time to freeze the explosion to end it. Dabi freezes up too, and tells his family to go die somewhere, but Endeavor finally apologizes to him and to everyone for whatever he has done. Uraraka and Tsuyu had followed Toga through Kurogiri's portal, and find it weird that even though Toga can only transform into the people she likes, she is still failing to transform into any league of villain members, except of Twice. Uraraka evolves and uses her floating quirk on everyone there to make them stop fighting, then uses Talk no Jutsu on Toga by appreciating the things about her which no one else did, so Toga falls for it and become a good guy, while all of Twice clones disappear. All Might wears a CGI suit, Armored All Might, which he got from Melissa and David, and uses weapons similar to Class A's and one for all quirks. Then he injects All for One with a poisonous weapon to make him continuously take damage, as Ares' Rewind quirk works faster on someone when they're taking damage, which would speed up the process of All for One's eventual existence removal, as he isn't subscribed to the channel. Finally, Midoriya senses that All Might is fighting All for One through his one for all form, and continues his own fight against Tomura.